Brands on Brands.
Hey, what's up, everyone? This week, we're talking about making offers to help people. This is how to build your personal brand and the making offers phase. Check it out.
In a world where content is king and your reputation is your brand, how do you build a brand that matters? Welcome to Brands on Brands, a home for those that think different and push their boundaries. This is where branding that matters lives. Now, here is your host, Brandon Berkmeyer.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to Brands on Brands. I'm Brandon Berkmeyer, your personal branding coach, and I believe that building a brand that matters is the only way for a person to thrive tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in each week. I appreciate you guys. This week, we are talking about the 4 stages of personal branding. This is how do you go along the road to building a personal brand from 0 to 100, from start to finish. What are the things you need to focus on? The first week of this episode, if you haven't checked it out, go back 2 episodes. And what we talked about was how to build your brand identity. The second phase was we talked about how to introduce your brand to the world. And then this week, we're talking about how to make offers. Now, for me, this is a very, very important phase. This is when you go from becoming the friend of the client or the person you just met, the acquaintance of the client, to being the leader, the thought leader, the person who can help them, right? So you're transitioning your positioning, right? So we will dive into that today. But first, if you guys have any questions or you are already thinking you're ready to take that step to building your personal brand, I am currently looking for 10 clients to work with for 6 months for this year, starting this year. And if you want to be one of those 10 clients, you want to be working on your personal brand from start to finish, to go through these phases, to build your identity, to know what to say, to know how to get attention for that message, and all the way through introducing yourself, creating offers, and eventually scaling content for that brand. I'm the guy to help you with that. I'm looking for people right now that are a good fit. If you think that's you, go to brandsonbrands.com/coach, and I'd be happy to talk to you to see if we're a good fit. All right. That being said, let's jump into the show.
Brands on Brands.
All right. What's up? Okay. So today we are talking about making offers, right? Making offers to your customer as a personal brand. And this is a tricky subject for a lot of people. Selling anything is a tricky subject. So that's why we don't call it selling. We call it making offers, because sometimes you may not be offering your actual service. Sometimes you will offer a couple of resources and say, good luck, and let's talk sometime in the future. Let me know how it goes. Sometimes you might be offering someone else's services because you're not a fit. Or sometimes you might be offering to say, hey, maybe we'll just meet again sometime and see if this would work out, right? So making offers isn't always about selling, but there are opportunities for the right people to say, you know what, I am looking for exactly what you are talking about. How can we work together, right? And in the last episode, we talked about how to frame that and explain to people when you're introducing yourself, how you work with them and what the steps are to accomplish those goals, right? So now we're past that. We're at the point where we want to figure out what our value is that we are offering. And one of the first things you need to figure out is, what is that service, right? What is the most common thing that you can help people with? And what is the result of that? And you want to be able to explain that simply, right? You don't want it to be vague. You don't want it to be just photo services, right? You want it to be specific. We get together for a day and we shoot, 100 pictures, and you get 20 of them that you'll like, that are the best, and they're well edited. And at the end of this, you have professional photography that you can use in your social media. Like, that specific is how you want to understand, like, what are all the things that your offer entails, right? And what I want to impart to you that's obviously beyond that first phase is, once you understand what your most basic offer is and how you really want to help people, now you can get into the design part of this. Okay. So what I mean is there's a few phases here. Number one is understanding what the suite of products is that you want to develop. In other words, what do you want to offer for that's like the most complicated thing you do? What do you want to offer that is the easiest, smallest way to work with you? And then what do you want to offer that's in the middle, right? And they call this a value ladder. You can Google that. In other words, there are sometimes things that you may want to offer that just brings people into your world, because a lot of people, just to get started, need help with something very small. And that'll help build trust. And if you help them succeed and you give them some quick wins, they might be willing to move on to the next phase and hire you for the thing that you do that you are known for. That is the service you really want to help people with. But you may have to start with something smaller, right? So building this suite of offers is part of that phase, right? Now, what I want to also add to this is it's not just about selling things. The idea of offering your help is huge. And what I want you to be able to do is, before you get to the point where you are selling something, I want to make sure that you build out resources, right? What are the things that, even while you're teaching, are things that you would give people that are templates, that are checklists, that are resources that they can use, books they can read, approaches to follow, whatever it is, build them out, write them out. Any kind of list of tools that you might use that you would recommend, all of that, and start to catalog them and save those things. Number one, because it'll help you serve your clients when they do decide to be clients and pay you for your service. But number two, they will help you figure out what the resources are that you could be offering people when you meet them in person or online, when they are just trying to get a question answered. You could say, oh, actually, I have a resource for that. Why don't you go get it here? It should solve your problem for you, right? It brings them into your world in a non-salesy way. You are offering them a help, not a service. So, and in that, as you make that offer, you are bringing them into your world, because generally, when you offer that free thing, they have to give you an email of some sort to receive it, right? Not just as like a website downloadable freebie thing, but also as like when you meet someone, say, oh, I can email that to you. I have that thing. I've solved this 100 times for people. Let me send you that. Where would you like me to send it? You could do that in a text with someone. You can do that via a direct message on Instagram or somewhere else. Or you can put it on your website as a downloadable resource, right? There's lots of ways to get that, but along that way, you have to give it to them somehow. Make that an email, right? Because then what happens? Then you can start to email them and introduce yourself to them in your world and say, you know, if you guys would like to keep hearing some of my best resources for this thing that you need help with, I'll continue to send you those every week, every month in my newsletter, right? With helpful tips. That's how you start to build an offering. Think of it as, how do you continue to help people? What can you build for them? And those can become what people call lead magnets, but I don't like to talk like that, because that's changing your mindset from being helpful to something else, right? So think of them as your helpful offers and resources that you can provide to people. And then as you go through that, you'll continue to develop those things like, what do people need that I don't have yet? And then what do people need that would help them get to where they would need my help and beyond? So that's what I want you to think of in terms of your offers, is how to build those different suites of products and resources that you can help people with, and really make them all map to really the thing that you are a specialist at, not a variety of offers that are disconnected. Find the one thing, and then find the things before and after that in terms of their journey that would help them. Now we're going to talk about the attention side of this, right? This is the second piece of all of these conversations, is how do you build attention when you have an offering, right? When you've figured that out. Now we've talked already about what I call 1 to 0 and 1 to 1 attention, which is 1 to 0 is you building websites and email lists that, you know, are you creating it, but no one's there yet. 1 to 1 was you creating direct relationships and communication with people via networking and social profiles. This week, we're going to talk about 1 to few. This is you connecting to a few people at a time, right? This is how you start to scale the attention, right? So the key here is that you have to find a way to be around groups, right? Now, those groups will give you, in some cases, opportunities to do 1-to-1 networking. In some cases, 1-to-many. But we're going to call it 1 to few, because initially, let's take on smaller groups. So this could be anything from a local networking group, that is where people get together, 10, 20, 30 people in a networking group in your community with people from different backgrounds that you can get to know. and exchange information with, and those people have connections. So you, by connecting to them, are connecting to other people. So get into small groups of people like that. Networking groups is one example. Another is online communities. There's tons of Facebook groups out there for every industry topic or audience. Join those Facebook groups and be involved in those communities. And better yet, if you can get to know the leaders of those communities and be involved with them, then they might support you and refer you to people in their community, or just recommend you. And that would be helpful as well. Not only that, if you can find something that's actually industry specific, that's a huge one. Look for associations in your industry, look for events in your industry and attend them. Actually show up and be there, be present, get to know the speakers and the other thought leaders in those industries. As you build those relationships with people that are the influencers of those communities, you are now opening a door to having people promote you that already have audiences. And that is how you start to unlock more attention for your offers. Because as you're meeting more people, they're getting introduced to you as the guy who's good at this thing that we just talked about. And then you can start to introduce them to your resources and the way you help people, which brings them into your offers. So that's one place to start. And then another is starting to, instead of just being an attendee or someone who's helpful, positioning yourself as a thought leader in the space by starting to get onto stages of some sort. That could be you in a room talking about what you do in front of people for 30 minutes. It could be you running a workshop. It could be you doing a virtual summit of some sort where you are a presenter. It could be you curating a conversation. It could be you being a guest on a podcast. Whatever it might be, how do you get involved so that people look to you as a speaker or someone who's a leader in the space, providing information and useful tools, right? So repositioning yourself as someone who's not just an audience member, but is now a leader in the community, okay? That is phase 3 of building your personal brand and expanding your, not only your how you help people, but also how do you bring attention to that. So we're, again, if you've been noticing episode by episode, we are starting small and starting to expand out. If you try to take all this on at once, it's overwhelming and you'll start to lose focus and priority. You do have to do these things in order for them to make sense. So I hope that's been helpful. Again, next week, we're talking about the last phase, which is really when you start to expand out to a bigger group of people, how to create content, find your voice, and continue to build the processes for which people will find you that start to become automatic, right? The brand image, the brand voice of your business, how that starts to actually take on its own form, and you become an engine for content and an engine for customers that start to just fill themselves in. So we'll talk about that next week. I'm excited to do that for you guys. I appreciate you listening. As always, if you appreciated this also on your end, go to Instagram, tag me at Brandon Berkmeyer, take a picture of this episode. Let me know that you listened, and I will appreciate that and reply. Otherwise, if you do need help, don't forget, go to brandsonbrands.com/coach, and we can set up a call to see if we can work together. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening. I hope that was helpful, and I will catch you all next time.
You've just taken your marketing knowledge to another level with this episode of Brands on Brands. But we have plenty more ways to help you build a brand that matters. Head over to brandsonbrands.com for resources, as well as access to our blogs, videos, and exclusive coaching sessions with your host. Be sure to visit brandsonbrands.com.